Yeah, as you have said, this is Leyla. She's a data scientist from the Dutch Employment Service. And my name is Dominik. I work as a researcher at the National Office of the Netherlands for Statistics. And we're here to present you CompetentNL and the hybrid AI work that we've been doing within that program. Actually, can you put the next slide? I did not ask for the... Oh yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you. So the topics of this presentation will be first an introduction by myself on what is CompetentNL, and then I will also talk a little bit about finding new skill descriptions before Leyla then continues with detecting bias in new skill descriptions, network analysis, and also concluding remarks and further work. So CompetentNL is a joint effort by public organizations in the Netherlands to come up with a new, comprehensive, shared, and evolving skills language for the Dutch labor market. We have actually flyers. I wanted to point that out. I mean, I don't know whether you've seen them. We've put out flyers, so please help yourself to one. Exactly, these are the ones. It's actually quite a big program where we aim to describe skills in the Dutch labor markets with the help of many organizations. And importantly in this project, and that's why we're here, we employ AI where we think it serves our goals best, but it's in a hybrid form so that like experts are always involved in the process as well. And one of the first things, the first components actually of our solutions is presented on the next slide. Oh no, actually this I wanted to show you very quickly. This skills language is a skill classification. It contains hard skills and tasks. It contains soft skills, knowledge elements, and working conditions. So it's very comprehensive in the way that it tries to describe whatever is going on in occupations that are important in the Netherlands. But then finding new skill descriptions. So it has been remarked before, it's important, of course, to only use AI where it serves your goals. So don't just use AI because you can, but we have this goal that it should be a good representation of the Dutch labor market. And an important part of that is that people that are in the labor market should be able to identify themselves with the descriptions that are contained in this ontology. So in order to achieve that, we scan through large amounts of labor market documents. So these are online job vacancies as well as profiles of people. And the AI then finds sentences and distinguishes sentences that relate to skill descriptions, and we do that with a large language model. And then once we've found these skill descriptions, the question is this something that is relevant to our ontology? Can we compare it to what is already in the ontology in CompetentNL? Or is it maybe something that has been only recently come up in the labor market in all these texts that we find? And for this, we have developed a matching algorithm that combines parts of speech tagging and word representations, embeddings, to be able to just go to the essence of the sentences and compare them and see how closely are the descriptions that we find in all these texts related to what we already have in our CompetentNL database. Depending on the outcomes, we then recommend suggestions of new descriptions to experts, and the experts are really the ones that verify and maybe standardize whatever has been found in all of these large data sets, and they are the ones deciding with the help of a web application whether something should be then also included in the next version of CompetentNL. So that keeps it moving on and dynamic with the labor market, but at the same time it is data driven, but it's also the last step of verification is always by the experts that actually decide whether something is worth adding to. All right, that was my part. Let me
Hello. This is working? Do you hear me? Oh, yeah. Well, within our project, we also did some research on different biomodels. And it's very important that the extraction in what it's adjusting into the ontology, that it doesn't have any gender, age, or language complicity. With language complicity, we mean that everyone who has a certain knowledge when it comes to Dutch is able to understand what is actually the skill sentence means. So by this, we are trying to experiment with ChatGPT to understand, or can help us to detect some biases in the skill description. So basically what ChatGPT does, it's not working. Oh, yeah. So it detects a kind of score, which like it's high or low, and when it's high, there is a certain bias. And then it gives an explanation, and with that, it gives an alternative, like how the skill description should be described, so there is no bias, like with gender or with language complicity. To give an example, this part is that from language complicity is that some of the terms of VV vastgoed beheer overeenkomsten, it's a term that found ChatGPT has a high bias, so it's quite difficult for someone who's not really familiar within the field. And then it sees that on this point in green is that ChatGPT gives an explanation or an alternative to how to write it better, so that the language complicity is in a certain level that everybody can understand. In this part, the domain expert do agree with what ChatGPT is saying, but when it comes to gender bias, when it comes to finding or it has a certain skills extraction has a gender biases, then in this case the domain expert don't agree with what ChatGPT is saying, because it's saying that certain words needs to be there in the sentence, so more of the context, to understand more of the context of the extraction. So with this meaning say that ChatGPT in a way can help us to detect some of the biases that we are looking for, but it's also very important that there's a domain expert that has a huge expert when it comes to the Dutch language to actually agree with what ChatGPT gives as an alternative. So in that part, it's very important. That's like a hybrid form that technology is helping us in a way, but still that the human is still deciding, do I agree what it's been saying, what ChatGPT is giving us alternative, yes or no? Yeah. So with CompetentNL, there are some questions that we have, because CompetentNL is actually a huge data set when we're going to launch it next year. And with those huge data set, what I believe in is that we can try to understand how job seekers actually try to change their job by different reasons. So sometimes it's a thing of that technology plays a part of. Sometimes it can be that the work condition from a certain job seeker change, so that person cannot stand or sit anymore. So a lot of different reasons to understand how skills are related to one another. We do know how occupations are related, because we can see that in a way in a network. But I think with time, it's also to understand like how skills are related to one another. So you can help people to understand like, hey, if you can do skill A, probably you can also do skill B as well. And also one of the questions that we want to answer in the future with CompetentNL is like one transversality, which means actually how occupations are overlapping with one another when we talk about that, or when is the gap really occurs. Because when is the gap? Like, is it like 10% of missing of the skill set, or it's 20 or 25%, where we can actually confirm that it's really a gap. And because skills are gonna be mapped in the future to different educational qualifications and also to education system, it helps us also, like when a gap occurs, how the educational system can help us to give a certain course or a certificate that someone can make the gap a little bit smaller by time. And I think also with CompetentNL within the future, what we have is that the labor market will actually help the education system to understanding them like, hey, this kind of skill set will be more increased in the future or will be decreased. So you have to adjust your programs so that your students are more, qualified in a way to really be okay with on the labor markets. I think with CompetentNL, because I work at Public Employed Services, we have a lot of data, and I think with the combination of CompetentNL and also the data of different job seekers that we have, I can do probably in the future like more research on how skills are related to one another. So let me say in computer programming, like we say, if you know the language C++, probably you can also learn very easy Python. But if you turn it the other way around, you started with a different language, how easy or how fast or how slow it will be to go to another skill in a way. So I think with network analysis, we do have a right use case in the future, so we can help the Dutch labor market on understanding, but also help the education system to prepare them on what is going to happen in the future. So to give like a pipeline, how we want to see it is we have data with occupations, with skill sets. We have qualification structures. We have another organization from education who's going to map also their education profiles to the skills. We have in the future some courses with skills as well. All combined will come in CompetentNL with a graph database that we're going to use. And then with the different models that we have from hybrid AI that Statistics Netherlands has been developing, and also the bias model will come together to help the domain expert understanding like what is happening in different vacancies. And also to maintain the ontology, we have to use hybrid AI in every way, because we know that the dynamic of the labor market is changing, and sometimes it's slow and sometimes it's fast, but it helps the domain expert to extract every time, or actually to find new different skill sets. With that being said, is that different skilled or CompetentNL data will be mapped on different standards, on ESCO, ISCO, and ONET as well. And we will serve an API system where different mediators, but also we serve for ourselves as public employed services, we can also have like different applications and insight what is really happening on the labor markets. Yeah, so if it comes from my perspective, I think we all do a research on skills. We're trying to understand the labor market. We are trying to help the job seekers, but I think it's a combination of everything. We need skills to understand how the different occupations are working, but I think also that we need to have a look into the behavior aspect of the job seeker itself. So like how can you influence people to look a little bit broader than just saying by themselves, like I'm just can only work in a specific area, or how is it possible that someone from the HoReCa actually somehow can transfer to healthcare system. So with those kind of insights, if we can do more research on that, then we understand quite better the labor market, and we can also advise people better more what kind of move they can make. But the other side is also the behavior aspect from the employer as well, to improve, or not to improve, but actually to inspire them as well, like, hey, you will probably not have someone who's well qualified, have all the skills. You'll have someone just missing 10 or 20%, just in how willing you are want to, I said it, how you want to will it, not improve, but how are you willing to get them or help them to gain the skill set that you really want to have. And I think also what's very important, especially when it comes to natural language processing, it's I think the quality also of vacancies or of resumes, you know, that's also a very huge part where we can hopefully in the future help different job seekers, but also employer, like what is actually good quality of resume data or vacancy data as well, to help our model in the future to extract better different extractions from the skill sets. Well, the future outlook that we have, at the moment we're doing a market review where we actually testing our data, so different mediators is testing our data to see what they can do with it. We're going to continue to use the AI and machine learning for the job vacancy. We're going to calculate different cross-packs to map different, or CompetentNL to different standards. We're going to launch an API service in 2024, and I will do more research in the future on skill similarity, understanding how skills are related to each other. So me and Dominik and all my other fellow colleagues in the Netherlands, we want to thank you all. If you have any questions, please add us on LinkedIn or email us, and we were happy to have this presentation. Thank you.